All right, all right, all right. Let me turn off the banner. Hello, everybody. Welcome to, oops, there we go. Welcome to Friday Live Unscripted. It doesn't get much more unscripted than that, does it? Glad to have anyone and everyone here. If you will, say hello in the comments, say good morning, or good afternoon or good evening or whatever time it is where you are this morning. It's St. Patrick's Day in the United States. I don't know if that's an international observation or not. Excuse me for that terrible image there. I had a little cough come up. This is, with the exception of a little test yesterday evening, the inaugural uh, broadcast from the bunker. I've been talking about it for a while and I finally got everything. Well, it's all here in the bunker. It's I'm starting to figure out I'm going to have to move some things around, but that you find that stuff out as you start working through things. For example, I'm not using multiple monitors at this time because I don't have all of that set up, but I do have multiple laptops and PCs and things like that. So to my right, your left, I have an all-in-one HP that I use for my other business and things like that to keep my schedule, all my emails on it and everything like that. What you're looking at is a laptop, and this is the same laptop that I've been using since last fall to do the podcasts and the YouTubes and everything. So it's all here in the bunker now. I had to move a lot of stuff around. What you see behind me is a shelf, a bookshelf, and part of my desk. And what I had to move that you don't see is, for me, it was pretty large. Now, Tim Cook, Toolman Tim over at the workshop, Toolman's workshop, he said it was a smaller one. Now, it's a Brother multifunction machine, color laser, all in one, and it has an additional tray. And I need that for my notary work because when I'm printing documents, I have it feed legal size paper from one and regular paper from the other, and they have to be laser. They can't be anything, because if they get damp, you can't have the ink smearing because they are uh, potentially the archive documents. I mean, once I give them to the client, I don't care what they do with them. But what I have to produce is quality black and white, um, multi-size packages. Sometimes they're all letter, sometimes they're legal. It just depends on the project. What we generally talk about here on the Holstein House podcast is things related to um, um, food preparation, the Airbnb, small B&B that I run, self-reliance type stuff, and just activities in and around that. And then I do talk a little bit about uh, Bitcoin, and I'm learning that still. And I know there's some friends out there that watch this from time to time that are getting a little frustrated because I haven't moved forward yet on that wallet for my Bitcoin. And it's just a matter. It's like changing. It's not exactly, but it's like changing bank accounts when it's not really urgent because you can still use the other one. So that's where I'm at with that. But we're getting around to the spring season. Things are going to be hopping again. Travel periods are picking up here in my area, so I'm starting to get more and more bookings, which is good. Good. It makes for a tense day when you find out the evening before that you're going to have a guest the next day, but that's the nature of the beast, not a complaint. So this morning, what I call this live and unscripted because generally on Tuesdays I have a list of stuff that I want to go through and kind of talk about. Sometimes it's current events, sometimes it's, B&B related, sometimes it's pets, Betty and Bob, and the cats and the chickens and the ducks and all the other things that we have going on around there. On Fridays, I just, kind of whatever anybody wants to chime in with, we'll cover. I have a little less of a script going on Fridays, but I do have a little bit of something because, I don't have a large following at this time. And if you're new, I hope you'll subscribe, whether you see this on a replay or whether you're watching it live now from Facebook or I really I got to get better about putting this on Rumble. I managed to do it a couple times, but I forget. It's an extra couple steps, but I forget because I'm not in the habit of it yet. And it's not easy to add like it is with Facebook and YouTube. So if there are any audio issues, any video issues, please let me know because this being the first real length, podcast from down here, I'm not sure my connection to the Wi-Fi. It should be good, but every time you have something between, whether it's a wall or a curtain, it doesn't matter, something between your machine and the Wi-Fi router, you always have the chance of losing quality in the signal. So what I'm going to do first, hey, this is episode 46 of the Holstein House podcast, podcasting first on the Fountain FM app. It's a great little app. And on Friday the 31st, unless something happens, and I don't anticipate that, but then we never do, will be our 50th podcast and our 50th, it won't be my 50th video, but it's the 50th video of the podcast. For those of you over on YouTube, I'm going to have a giveaway, and I'm going to give away some of my merchandise that's on Etsy. But right now, the podcast you should be able to find it on Apple. It should be there on Apple Podcasts, Google, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, TuneIn, iHeart, Player, Listen Notes, and Samsung. If you try to find it in one of those applications and it's not there, please let me know because everything on my end when I upload it says that there's a connection and you should be receiving the podcast on those applications. So wherever you're coming to me from, I hope you will either, do the thumbs up, subscribe, boost. If you find something interesting to clip, I hope you'll clip and share and encourage your friends and other followers to subscribe to. If you have your own podcast or your own YouTube channel, drop it in the comments. Let me know about it and I'll look at it, and if it's a good fit, I'll subscribe. It's not a problem. I enjoy finding new ones. There was a new one recommended to me, it was yesterday morning, Red Tool House. It turns out they're not very far from me. Their little farm in, he just says Southern West Virginia. I think I know exactly where he is. Not to the second, but I know about where that is because he mentioned Red Tool House Road. I know where Red Tool House Road is, but I'm not going to stalk him. Don't mean that, but I think I had no idea they were there, and he's got quite a few videos up already. I was listening to him yesterday morning as I was shuffling things around here in the bunker. But yeah, share it in the comments, or go. I've got a Telegram group, the Holstein House. Darn it, the Holstein House chat. I've got so many of them, I'm getting them all tangled because they're not all exactly the same. The Holstein House chat over on Telegram. So it would be t.me/the Holstein House chat. So I hope you will give it a look. If you have been paying attention, now it's getting kind of late to do this. It's not impossible. Today is Mr. Holstein and my 22nd wedding anniversary. We were married on St. Patrick's Day in 2001 during the middle of spring break when we went back to college. And we had been dating for a couple years, and that fall, actually, I proposed to him. It was Sadie Hawkins' year, wasn't Sadie Hawkins' day, but it was Sadie Hawkins' year. And I bought him a men's Lindy Star, and I proposed to him. Of course, we had been kind of hinting around to each other about that, we're going to have to or get off the pot. And hadn't formalized it, it was kind of understood that this was the direction it was going, so I did propose to him, and a couple weeks later, he came back and proposed to me properly with a nice engagement ring for a couple of people who well, I was actually working, he was not working, he was going to trade school. But, anyway, we did. We set the date because we were both on spring break, and that was the Saturday of spring break, and there you are. He can't forget it, I can't forget it. We might get muddled over the year, but, you know, that's okay. That'll happen. So I have used, I encourage DirectBook for my BNB. I do have a DirectBook program set up, and if you go to robinholstein.com, that's robinholstein.com, check the menu, you'll see the Holstein House, and you can DirectBook or you can use Airbnb if you can set up an account with them, but if you have an account, you can go through Airbnb. I've been doing this since 2017. I love it. I love it. I have a blast. Sometimes it can be very stressful, but it's a lot of fun for me. But what I did is I do have a couple specials going. I have a local coffee brewer that I have fresh beans from that I will hand grind those beans for coffee. This is for direct book only though. This is not for people who book through Airbnb. So I've got the coffee. I've got some local chocolates, Hall's chocolates, HOLS, Hall's chocolates. They're made in Parkersburg, West Virginia, in the Swiss style. I think you can't say Swiss chocolates because that's probably, a franchise kind of thing, or it's kind of like champagne. It's only champagne if it comes from a certain part of France, but you can have sparkling wine or whatever they call it. So anyway, there are packages for direct book guests who can choose from the chocolate package or chocolate and coffee package and a couple others. But there's also for the rest for not for the rest of the month, but for March, there's a direct book promo, and it's ANNI 10. So that's anniversary ANN 10, and 10's for 10%. So it's Annie 10 ANNI. And when you use that promo code, you will get 10% off your regular room rate and the other things. So if you want the coffee and chocolate, as special, you can have that plus the 10% off for direct book. And now for my Etsy shop, I have some of these ceramic mugs over there. I don't have one down here in the bunker. I need to bring one down to show. 10 little tin coffee cups, perfect for camping. And I have some t-shirts and a few other things out there. If you use the it's actually somebody's Fountain FM handle, Afro Thy Mix, AFROTHYMIX. That will get you a 5% discount off your purchase in the Etsy shop, Holstein House. So go look up that. The links are all in the show notes down there. The that the reason for that, for those who don't know, is that on Fountain, I had someone using that handle, Afro the Mix, Thy Mix. He gave me 3,000 sats. I assume it's a he, might be a she. Don't know, don't care. Gave me 3,000 sats, but yet said, we're 5 minutes in and you're not ready for your show, and I'll be back in 6 weeks or something like that. I don't know. And so I asked him, I don't know. I might have that here. I screenshot it. Oh, there it is. Yes. Here, let me see if I can share it with you. Anyway, so morning, Jackie. Thank you very much. We miss you, sweetheart, and we love you still, both of you. Let me see if I can. Oh no, it has to be a PDF. I don't know. Can I share if I open it like this? Can I open with let me just open it with photos and see if I can share this screen. Is it alt share? Oh, hang on. It might be, no, wait a minute. window. Oh yeah, I can share. Okay, now I don't know how well you'll see this, but I'm going to share this with you. So, what? I don't know if you can. Darn it, go back. I don't want to see him. That was funny. So, what you see here now, this is not the person. This is HJ. HJ's good. He sends me sats over there all the time. So here's what we've got. This character called Afro by Mix gave me 3,000 sats. I'm not sure if you can read that very well or not, but what it says is Lesai, as in, oh my gosh, Lesai. Almost 5 minutes in, get the setup right, then go live. I'll be back in a few weeks. To which I said, which podcast do you produce? I'd like to listen to how you do it. Oh, I'm so tickled I was able to share that with you because I know people think I'm crazy when I talk about that, but I'm not. It's exactly what happened. So where did I leave off? Oh, so all right. So that 5% off at the Etsy shop is good till the end of the month. It's good till the 31st, and you'll get to see the cups and the T-shirts and stuff that I'm going to put on the raffle. Raffle. Listen to me. On the 50th special giveaway. Now, before I finish this piece up, the booking, the anniversary booking, you have to book by, it's not for the whole month. It's just, you have to book before the 20th to stay by the 21st. So if it was live on the 1st of March, so you could have booked any day up till the 21st. But of course, now time is ticking away. And you have to book it. You have to get the reservation in before the 20th of the month. So I don't take same day bookings. So the very last opportunity you would have to book the room, direct book the room with the anniversary 10% discount will be the 20th because the discount is over then. So you've got between now and the 20th to book, but for a room between now and the 21st. I know it sounds crazy, but if you think about it, you can't book on the 21st, so you have to book before it, but you can stay on the 21st. Now, the giveaway, I think I already kind of touched on that. It's on the 50th. It's avoiding any, issues that may crop up. The 50th the 50th episode is going to be on the 21st of March 2023. So if you watch this later, that's when it is. StreamYard, which is what I use to share this live broadcast with you on YouTube and on Facebook and Rumble and other places. They have a tool that everyone who uses a certain phrase, and I'll give you the phrase that day, it'll randomly choose from those comments that have that phrase in it. So yeah, you do have to be here to win. And then what'll happen is I'll let you reach back out to me with shipping information, and I need to ship to a continental U.S. Address. So what I'll do is I will set it up in Etsy to ship directly to you. It won't come to me first. So I'm not going to announce the phrase early, but for the example I've been using is, let's say I tell you, okay, everyone needs to put a comment. Everyone that wants to win this mug, needs to put hashtag Robin is great in the comments, and I'll give you time to do that, and I'll tell it stop, and then we'll turn the StreamYard tool on and let it. It looks like a big Wheel of Fortune wheel, so it'll spin around and it'll pick one for that. So it takes it out of my hand. So we'll do that 3 times at least, maybe more. It just depends on who all's there. So right now it's just going to be the ceramic cup, the tin. I say it's tin, but it's enamel cup and a T-shirt. So I want to thank Josh, the Renegade Butcher, for coming in Tuesday and being a special guest. That was a lot of fun. I think we had some decent chemistry there as far as, talking back and forth and sharing things goes. Excuse. And I think it really went well. He was a big help with some information there, and I enjoyed talking with him and hearing his perspective on on the butchering process and the he also he does smoked spice. Well, it's not always smoked, but he does spice mixes and stuff. And I have one that I'm thawing out some ground pork that I want to put the breakfast sausage spice that I got from him in there and see how it goes and maybe share it with my guest. So I did that. I did that. I think I talked to you last time about. Well, this is St. Patrick's Day, so I don't want to do that. That's my Scottish clan. That's my Scottish clan, and I think I did talk about that. Pretty sure I did. Daylight savings time. Oh my gosh, I'm still struggling with that. So are the dogs, as a matter of fact. They're all wore out and confused. The cats don't care. The cats just don't care. The housekeeper, I told you she didn't come in. She said she felt bad, so that's okay. I mean, I don't know. She might not be back. I just have this feeling. Maybe wrong. I've been wrong a lot and a couple times this morning already. Do, 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 do. So, in the, I think now all the preliminary stuff is over. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for those of you guys who may be new. And let's see. I had a request for a lady. I say a lady. I don't mean that to be rude. I don't mean that to be rude. I had someone ask me about service animals. And it was in the Telegram group. She says she has an Airbnb that she does in Texas. And I was looking for the exact. Here we go. So here's what she put, and I don't mind sharing this. I mean, I'm not stingy with my limited information. She says, Robin, I've been enjoying listening to your podcast, and thank you very much. And I especially like to hear your daily experiences with your Airbnb. I'm a fellow Airbnb host in Texas and just curious if you allow pets or have a no pet policy. I had a woman book for next week, and when I sent her my usual pre-check-in details, she told me she had a service dog, which she did not disclose at the time of booking. I have a no pets policy on my listing, so I ask her about it, and she sends me a photo of her dog's photo ID labeled service dog. So her Yorkie is a service dog. I explained to her the reasons we have a no pet policy, including we have 3 dogs on the property, and one of them can be aggressive with unfamiliar dogs. I warned her to keep her Yorkie on the leash outdoors and all that. Anyway, later she canceled her booking. I feel like she should have disclosed this information at the time of booking. What do you think? Anyway, I'm not sad about it. It would have been too much trouble on my end. Plus, we've had issues in the past with dogs making a mess. So, Maria, I do have a no pets policy. I have had people trying to bring their pets. The first experience I had with it was I hadn't finished my first full year as an Airbnb host. And so I had no experience with it at all. A friend asked, a friend from another part of West Virginia asked her B&B friends to offer a free night to a U.S. veteran for Veterans Day. I agreed to do that, and I had someone reach out to me, and in the conversation, she said she had a service dog, and I kind of stuttered a little bit because at that point, I had not dealt with a request that mentioned service dog. And I knew I was limited to what I could ask about the service dog. I'm gonna put the link to where I get this information from the Americans with Disabilities Act website, the ada.gov. And some of this relates to government facilities because there's certain things that we as private business owners can do that governments can't. And a lot of people, a lot of our customers and just people out there confuse that. And just for the example, we'll say uh, the the First Amendment and free speech. That is a restriction on government. So if I wanted to say people could only speak Portuguese in my house, I could do that. The restriction is on the government. But when you get into some of this stuff, it's good to know. And I ended up putting a sheet in my manual, my house manual that I keep in the room for my guests. So the definition of a service animal is a dog that has been individually trained to do work or perform tasks for an individual with a disability. The task performed by the dog must be directly related to the person's disability. The person that reached out to me, and I'm speaking from my own experience, said it was an emotional support dog. So that's I would have needed to ask what task or what job does the dog do to help with your disability. You can't ask what's your disability. The answer would have been something along the lines of when I begin to have a panic attack, the dog comes and scratches, paws at me, or climbs on my lap, or does a certain task, does something to tell to trigger the individual, I'm sensing you're about to have a panic attack. So there's a task associated. We're more familiar with people with guide dogs, and we know the dog recognizes the stop signs and stops to make the person stop and doesn't let them cross in traffic and helps, guide them around things that may be in the. So most of us are familiar with that. So if you use that dog as the example, that dog has a job and a task. There's work to do. So the dog needs to be trained. In my first experience, the individual said it was an emotional support dog. Said, "I'll have the dog and I'll just, he'll stay in the room unless I'm going out," meaning leaving the house. Another one of the rules, and I highly encourage you to go when I get the link put in there, and I'm gonna also put it in the Telegram group there because I know you're over there. Something else that has to happen is that emotional support animal or that dog, because it's defined as a dog, has to be with that person 100% of the time. They cannot leave the pet, they cannot leave the animal in the room for anything. Not to go to breakfast, not to go sit on the porch and smoke, nothing. That animal must be with them all the time. Emotional support animals are not considered service animals. So one of the questions on the government site is, are emotional support, therapy, comfort, or companion animals considered service animals under the Americans with Disability Act? The short answer is no. People may not like that, but that's where it is now. Because they have not been trained to perform a specific job or task. Now, if they have been, and you don't offer this up. I mean, when we get to there's only a couple things you can ask this person. So you don't try to fill in the blanks and say exactly, does the dog sit on your lap? You don't get to ask that because that's a violation of the ADA. So we want to be careful about that. Some states or local governments do have laws that allow emotional support animals. So you want to check locally if you're that concerned with it. Does the ADA require professionally trained dogs? No. People with disabilities have a right to train the dogs themselves. They're not required to use a professional dog training program. Are service animals in training considered service animals under the Americans with Disabilities Act? No. No. Under the ADA, the dog must already, and it has to be a dog, must already be trained. Now, in the experience that I had that first time, the lady eventually in the conversation, because there was a lot of hesitancy on my part to even ask things because I was trying to be careful not to break the law in having the conversation with her. When she said that the dog would stay in the room while she's having breakfast, and I'm pausing trying to think, how do I do this? Because until you've done it, or unless you've practiced it, you really don't know how you're going to react, especially when you know you don't want a pet, somebody's pet in the house. She let it slip that the dog was a pup, which clued me in, and I could immediately say, "Oh, I'm sorry. If it's a pup, it's not a trained service dog." "Well, I know, but it's in training." "I'm sorry. I don't allow pets. And because that's a pup, it's not trained. It it doesn't qualify." So she did not get to stay. It was, I mean, on the one hand, I kind of hated it, but on the other hand, I have dogs also in my house, like you, and I don't know how they're gonna react, and I don't want somebody else's dog attacking my dogs, bringing diseases in them to my dogs, so that's my big reason for not wanting to have them. So you can legally ask, and I'll put this in there. You can legally ask 2 questions. You can ask, "Is the dog a service animal required because of a disability?" You can't ask what the disability is. You can only ask because of a disability. And the second question you can ask is what work or tasks the dog has been trained to perform. So they can't, human traveling companion cannot be responsible for the dog. That doesn't count. So the ADA site says staff are not allowed to request any documentation of the dog, require that the dog demonstrate the task, or inquire. So if you have people on staff, they can't further question. You got 2 shots. That's it. They don't have to wear special identification, although people are buying stuff. People with these comfort chickens and things. They're going out and buying things because somebody can sell it to them. Here, prove your dog is ADA compliant. They don't have to do that. Again, the dog cannot leave the person at all. The person has to have the dog with them at all times. You cannot add an additional cleaning fee. I don't show in my Airbnb fees. I don't split them out and show how much cleaning for this, that, and the other. It's useless. It's really useless. So it's just a way to gouge people because it doesn't. I mean, I'm trying to have someone come in and help me with a little more cleaning because I'm getting pulled in other directions too, and I know what that's going to cost me. But I'm not broadcasting that as an additional fee for my just to stay because I've got to clean the room. I got to clean the house. It doesn't matter if you're here or not. I got to clean it. So let's see. That gets into ambulances, vaccinations. They do have to have whatever vaccinations are required. It can be any breed of dog. You cannot refuse them based on the breed if they are a service animal. But if they show up with the dog, a service dog, and the service dog is not behaving or seems to pose a threat to the health and safety of others, the animal may be excluded. So if you do allow someone in, and just because, let's say they've got a little ankle biter Chihuahua. Oh no, you said Yorkie. Your little Yorkie. You got the Yorkie. It does have to be it has to be on a leash all the time. It has to be a leash all the time. And the Yorkie is growling and snapping and biting. You can ask that the Yorkie be removed from the area, but you still have to serve the individual. So if the person if you're like me and you provide a breakfast, then the Yorkie came down and was being aggressive with me or someone else, I could say that Yorkie's got to go. The Yorkie can go upstairs. You can come down and finish your breakfast, but the Yorkie's got to go. Now, when can a service animal be excluded? The ADA, Americans with Disabilities, and always check your local rules too, because your local rules can be stricter than the ADA rules, but they cannot be, they cannot be lesser. They have to be ADA or above. So the ADA does not require covered entities to modify policies, practices, or procedures if it would fundamentally alter the nature of goods, services, programs, or activities provided to the public. Nor does it overrule legitimate safety requirements. If admitting service animals would fundamentally alter the nature of a service or program, service animals may be prohibited. In addition, if a particular service animal is out of control and the handler does not take effective action to control it, or if it is not housebroken, that animal may be excluded. Now, they define what it means when it would fundamentally alter the nature of your service or program. For example, a boarding school, a service animal could be restricted from a specific area of a dormitory reserved specifically for students with allergy to dog danders. At a zoo, service animals can be restricted where animals on display are a natural prey or predator of the dog, where the dog would be disruptive. But they couldn't be. So you could, if you have guard dogs, guardian dogs, livestock dogs, and someone with a service dog wanted to walk down to the area of, let's say that's sheep. I don't know. Let's say you've got sheep and you've got livestock guardian dogs, and that person wanted to take that dog down there. No, you could tell them no, because your livestock guardian dogs could potentially try to eat that little Yorkie. There's a lot of questions here. There's stores, restaurants, gyms, churches, temples, apartments, mobile homes. Where is it? Are gyms, fitness centers, hotels, municipalities that have swimming pools required to allow service animals in the pool area? That's not the question I thought it was, and it says no. If you dig in here a little further, I just don't really have time to go through all of it. You're going to see that you can limit. There is a document, and what I did is I took the guide. There's a download of the full guide on service animals after a more recent incident where I had someone ask about a service animal, and I declined it because because of the dogs that I have could be aggressive towards the service animal. So you got the 2 questions you can ask. But what I did is I put a copy of the ADA requirements in the manual that I have upstairs in the guest room. And that way, if someone had brought their pet and lied about it, because we can only ask the 2 questions. And I wanted them to know that I was aware of the rules. That animal has to be in their control and has to be with them all the time. So if there was an issue, I can point to it's in the manual in the room. Yes, it should have been disclosed. They should never ever have someone show up at your door and say, "Oh, by the way, here's my service animal." So I'm going to encourage you to look at, go to the link that I'm going to provide you. Go to the FAQs. There's going to be there's going to be 2 links, one directly to the FAQs and one to the requirements. Of course, FAQs, we all love those because they're short and to the point, but there's more information on the other page. And I'm like you. There should never. I don't allow pets generally anyway, other people's pets. But there should never, even with a service animal, you should never have a mess to clean up, short of some shedding, And the unfortunate thing, other than that, is fleas. There's no requirement to treat them. I mean, that's just a humane thing to do, is keep your pet treated from fleas. But they can bring fleas in, and fleas can multiply. You know that, and they can be almost impossible to get rid of sometimes. I've had infestations just because the choice of alternative flea treatment that we were trying to use so that we didn't use as many chemicals just did not do the job. And come late August and early September, we were just inundated. I closed my calendar for a few days while we were trying. We should have died the amount of insecticide that we used in the house to get rid of the fleas. Our poor pets were just scratching to death, but we had tried an alternative, treatment, preventative, and it just was a waste of time for us. So I hope this will help. Like I said, I'm going to put it in the Telegram group for you to look at and go from there. Daggone. We've been at this almost 45 minutes. Didn't feel like it, did it? I have so much to do today. I really did. I have the guest coming. I'm still struggling. I have the part for the furnace for the church, and now we can't get a hold of the guy who promised to put it in for us. I can't hassle him too much. First off, he's not going to charge us to do it. Second off, he's been ill with some hardcore medical issues, and we're wondering if he's back in the hospital. He hasn't responded to us. Could be that he's waiting for the weekend. I hope that's all it is. I really hope. Mr. Holstein thinks I could probably put it in myself. He said, "You're just clipping one out and clipping one in." I'm just afraid to do that. I really don't want to be the one. I want a professional to do that. So I just don't want to do it myself. Harold, I like Harold. He's been a friend of Wayne's for a long time. But he's had, like I said, he's had some serious heart issues. So we've still gotten, and that's just for the fellowship hall. The sanctuary itself has got heat. It's good. We're all good there. I've got to get the service together for Sunday. I think our pastor's doing communion. I don't know. He's got some illness in his family. His daughter's not well, so he's had a hard time recently just dealing with that. I mean, she's pretty sick. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, so I think I told you. I might not have told you. I had a guy the other day message me for the room. Well, he booked. It's the second time that this has happened, that people are not reading the calendar for the room, and I don't accept same day bookings. And so twice now people have thought they booked the same day, and it was for the day after. So in this case, he was booking for, oh, what day was it? He was booking for Tuesday, on Tuesday. I'm like, no, no, that's not right. But he also told me that he was booking for his sister, that she was having an emergency situation and needed a place to stay. So there's a couple of flags that go up here. This could very well have been a very legitimate thing, but it's against Airbnb policy, terms and conditions, to do a third party book. And a third party book is where anyone who's not staying is booking and paying for the reservation. So let's say I was booking for you. I would call up and I'd book and I'd, give you credit card number and say, oh, well, my friend here is the one that's staying, not me. That's a third party. Now, this guy said, I think his name was Richard. He said that he runs Airbnb in Georgia, and his profile upholds that. But he also said he didn't intend to break any policy, but he has to know that third party bookings is not allowed. And I really don't want to get into those kind of emergency situations because you can end up really being messed over. I personally have not experienced, but I've been reading the experiences by other hosts on in another group who have had this, where someone needs to stay somewhere for an emergency and ends up being there 2-3 weeks and they can't hardly get rid of them, because once somebody stays and you allow them to stay, you almost have to evict them. So then he said, can you reimburse my money? Well, first off, when you're using Airbnb, and I don't have any problem with the company, otherwise I wouldn't still be affiliated with them. You're paying them. They're the middleman. So you're paying them, and then they pay me after the fact. So let's say you're booking for tomorrow, for Saturday. You come in, you check in after 3:00, you stay overnight, you leave by 9, and I don't get paid until after you've left. So usually it'll be, in this instance, it would be late Sunday evening or early Monday when I get notification that you've been, that I've been paid. Well, this guy wanted me to reimburse him right straight, and if he's running a B&B, like his profile seems to say, he ought to know better. He knows I don't have that money yet. Plus, he needs to be going through customer service with Airbnb to get his reimbursement. You don't, as the host, I don't automatically do that. Well, part of the reason that he was asking for that was because I have a very strict cancellation policy, which means in his case, the minute he booked, he couldn't get his money back because he booked the last minute. The way the policies are right now, they just did some modifications. So but the modifications were for really long-term stays, like more than 30 days. I don't take those. You have, if you book a month out, you can get half of your money back if you cancel with 14 days before it's 14 days out. So on day 14 or day 13, because you're working backwards on the calendar, on day 13, you don't get your money back. You can get 100% of your money back if you cancel 14 days out and within, I think, 48 hours of booking. So if you booked right this minute for the 17th of April, you could get 100% of your money back if you change your booking within 48 hours of now. Otherwise, you would get half of your money back up until 13 days before your stay. I don't want to be nasty, but I've had a couple of instances of people taking in the history of my sharing the room through Airbnb. I've had a couple instances where people are trying to scam me. So, or you get your calendar tied up. So this is St. Patrick's weekend, right? If I was a little closer to Charleston, I might expect that I would have somebody book for 2 nights so that they would hit the bars tonight and tomorrow night and leave on Sunday. People do that. Well, if they booked far enough in advance, I'm about to sneeze. I hope I don't sneeze. If they book far enough in advance, then nobody else obviously can book. They've had that room tied up and then they cancel at the last minute. I don't have time to rebook that room. So that's the reason for my hardcore policy. If you're going to wait to the last minute and book. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, go direct book. Yeah, that's always an option. I still have that sneeze waiting. um, so, but you as the guest, when you're looking to book the room, are responsible for reading the description of the room and the cancellation policy and all that stuff. It's not automatic and it may not be exactly what you think. So we've got that. And so this guy wanted reimbursed immediately, which is another flag that, well, maybe his payment processed. If I'm trying to reimburse him for something he ends up not paying anyway, then he's making out. What ended up happening was I got notification. I never got the check-in notification because of the cancellation. But roughly 2 hours after checkout would have been required, I got notification that I'd been paid the full amount. I went ahead and went through the process to reimburse the guy because I don't want his money that way. And it's a big deal, but it's not. He was trying to book the same day and he didn't read. Then then he was trying to third party book, which is against the rules. And I thought it'd be a good lesson for him to learn if he lost all of it, but I don't want to be the one teaching him that lesson. I don't want to do that. And I don't know why he would pick an Airbnb anyway. If his sister's having an emergency, I don't know. So I didn't ask a lot of questions because it was like, I got the notification of the booking, then I got the request for cancellation, then I got a message of, this is what I'm trying to do. So I answered him and told him that he needed to go through customer service. Sorry. Instead of sneezing, I yawned. I'm talking my own self to sleep. There's nothing happening with hip camp. It's very quiet. I haven't really. I need to go tweak that a little bit. Maybe that's make it a little more appealing. But it's not really. It's not a campground anyway, so it's just a rest spot. So, I'm going to be. I don't have the setup yet, but I'm a lot closer to having the setup for the chickens. I hope to get some new chicks and ducks by Monday, maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure when they come in. I'm thinking they come in on Tuesdays up here at the Tractor Supply. So I might be able to go over on Sunday or Monday and get a good deal on some week-old chickens. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, well, I'm going to start winding down a little bit here. We're about 54 minutes in. And I like to keep it right close to an hour anyway. So again, March is the anniversary month. Our wedding anniversary was March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. I am wearing my green. I've got my green painted is not the word I want, but that's the word it is. Hand painted shirt on for Holstein House. Got my little green shamrock thingy in my hair on the. Oh, it's on the wrong side. It should be on the other side. I'm married. In Hawaii, you wear your flower on the right side if you're single and on the left side if you're married. So I need to move that. Let me move that over here. There. That's what I get for doing it looking in the mirror. Oh, yeah, that's my left side. No, it isn't. So anyway, our wedding anniversary is an opportunity for people who want to direct book to save even a little bit more. If you direct book, go to robinholstein.com. In the menu, find Holstein House. And as you look at that, you have the option to direct book and you have the option to go through Airbnb. For direct book guests only, 10% off your regular room rate if you use the promotional code ANNI10, ANNI 10, short for anniversary 10. And you have to book it. You have to hit the book, click the book before the 20th of this month. And you must stay no later than the 21st. So you can book on the 20th to stay on the 21st or any of those dates in between. So that's Annie 10. You still have the coffee and chocolate package that's there for our direct book guests. Guests who choose that will receive, and you do choose it. It's not automatic because I have to know to get everything together. Maybe you don't want it, and I get everything together, and then it's wasted because you don't want it. But guests who choose this will receive West Virginia's own Hall's chocolate and Coal River coffee, freshly ground, hand ground. I got a little hand grinder. I like it better than that little machine, but the machine is quicker. Freshly ground just before we brew it for direct book guests only. So go to robinholstein.com, choose Holstein House from the menu, use the link to check the dates you want to stay. You'll see the option for chocolate and coffee stay package. Choose it. It's good for stays between now and March 31st, 2023. It is not available for bookings made through Airbnb. And again, this is episode 46 of the Holstein House podcast, premiering primarily on the Fountain.fm network. But we're also on all the other big ones, or we're supposed to be. If you found me on Fountain, I hope you'll boost and clip. I'm probably not a whole lot there to clip. I can't talk in short sound bites. I just never was able to do that. So if you find anything of value in today's episode and you want to share that, you want to tip. I hate to use the word tip, but I'm being more and more encouraged to tip. Please do so. If I bring you value, I hope you'll share that. Share what you think it has been worth today. I'm still looking at the Moon wallet. I am watching the banking fiasco out there. I don't know what to say. It's just a nightmare no matter how you do it. The bigger banks are eating up the littler banks, kind of like the sharks are eating up the minnows and stuff. And it's the government's wanting to take them over. And I kind of don't want to do that today. I really kind of don't want to do that today. I was very glad to have the question about service dogs, service animals. Capital gains, Bitcoin. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of all. It's not that I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all this tension around all of them. So I don't have any guests coming up right away, but if you would like to be a guest on the Holstein House podcast, then reach out to me in whatever manner you are listening to me now. Check the show notes also for an email address. Remember, the 50th episode is going to have a giveaway. It's going to be fun. Do have that Etsy store at Holstein House. If you want to go out and look at it, there's some really neat things over there. The tin mug, I'll have to bring that down. I've done it before, but I'll have to bring it down here again. The tin mug has the little logo for Hip Camp. So that's a little different than the round logo that's on the coffee cup. I think it's about it today. It really is. I would appreciate everybody who's been listening. Don't forget, Aphrodimix is the 5% off your total in the Etsy store from now to the 31st of March 2023. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, happy St. Patrick's Day. I know everybody likes to do appropriate the Irish culture on today's date, on the 17th of March. Every year, everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So that's great. Anyways, I'm going to go. Thank you, Jackie, for listening. Love to see you there. Love to see you every Sunday morning as we live stream the church service, and so appreciate yours and Junior's continued support, even though you've moved away. I miss you. I miss you a lot. Things are going okay over there, but we miss you. So that's the end today. We'll be back on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, as far as I know, unless something happens. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. We'll be here on Tuesday for Tuesday Live, a little more scripted, but everybody's welcome. And so are your questions. So take care. Have a good weekend. Go to the church or synagogue of your choice. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.